This Dude Wipes 250 Betting Picks edition of the NASCAR Gambling Podcast here on the Sports Gambling Podcast Network is brought to you by Cut. Cut is a peer-to-peer social betting platform that's U.S.-based and available in 40 states. Head to cut.com, that's KUTT.com, and use promo code SGPN for a 10% deposit bonus. We're also brought to you by Underdog Fantasy. Play their fantasy pick'em for a chance to win 100x in NBA, MLB, NHL, college basketball, NASCAR, F1, and more. Sign up today using promo code RACESGPN to get a 100% deposit.
Driver, start your engine!
Strap in and pull those belts up tight as the Sports Gambling Podcast Network presents the NASCAR Gambling Podcast.
I'll wreck my mom to win a championship. I'll wreck your mom to win a championship.
With all the news and the best bets for your NASCAR weekend.
It refrains me from not beating the out of you right now because you asked me stupid questions. But since I'm on probation, I suppose that's improper to say as well. If you could talk about racing things, we could talk about racing things.
Now, here are your hosts, Rod Villagomez and Cody Zeeb.
Welcome in, everyone, to another episode of the NASCAR Gambling Podcast here on the Sports Gambling Podcast Network. He's Cody Zeeb. I'm Rod Villagomez. We are going Xfinity Racing for probably my favorite of all of the sponsors that we ever have in the Xfinity Series, the Dude Wipes 250 from the Martinsville Speedway in Ridgeway, Virginia. I know it's a silly sponsor, Cody, but listen, they're important. I think it's something that everybody should be aware of. And I'm glad Xfinity is bringing awareness to the dude wiping problem.
I think that it is a very good sponsor. I think that more people probably need to use dude wipes than actually do. I'm considering buying a bunch of dude wipes and passing them out as needed, especially when we get to the summertime here. But yeah, dude wipes, go get some. They're great.
I do wish, Rod. It's been a little while since I've been in the military. I've been out. Dude wipes not around when I was in the military. I remember being on field exercises for 30 days in the forest. We had baby wipes, but dude wipes probably would have been a lot better. Well, and I, as somebody who is currently serving, I do know that in many of the latrines across the armed forces, there are signs that indicate please no flushing anything other than toilet paper. But I don't know that stands for dude wipes because I know that they are biodegradable. So I feel like dude wipes owes us
something every day.
I do feel like dude wipes owes us some money for spending the first 35 seconds of this touting their product. But again, this is why NASCAR is the way it is. They are nothing if not good for their sponsors. So let's bail out of this by saying hello to the chat. Arturo saying good afternoon, guys. Good afternoon. Yes. Walter's ready to go short track racing and make some money. So are we. Yes. And then Nick Fortune. Dude wipes sound very dirty. No, it's clean. That's the
they're clean until they get dirty, I guess. But I hope it's good to see the chat popping already, Rod. I hope that these fine folks are pulling their belts tight today and getting ready, because looking through the card, it's going to be a bit of a contentious betting day on the NASCAR Gambling Podcast, which Xfinity Series generally goes that way. We like to agree on a lot of stuff, or like to disagree on a lot of stuff, rather, when it comes to Xfinity, and that seems to be the case today.
Yeah, today we both woke up and chose violence. I will tell you right now that I definitely woke up and chose violence, because apparently I was mean to everybody this morning. So I don't know. I'm already off to a bad foot. But I do love everybody, and they know that now. So I don't know if it was me, but I woke up and chose violence. My betting card is definitely reflective of that. So we'll definitely talk about Richmond. We've got Martinsville. We talked about Richmond. We'll talk about Martinsville. They should not put these two short tracks next to each other, and in Virginia, because I'm getting confused. So anyways, we'll talk about that. But let me first tell you about the rest of the SGPN. Look, I know that you're subscribed to us, and if you're not, please do. Subscribe to us, not only on YouTube, as we've been making a giant push on YouTube, but we also want you to subscribe wherever you catch your podcast, whether that's Spotify, Apple Podcast, podcatchers across the world. I don't know what you're using, but if you haven't already, please subscribe to us. But there's also great shows on the SGPN that have been around for probably even longer than us. Of course, we talked about the main show last month. That was our spotlight show of the month, but this month we've got a brand new one. Baseball season starting. I actually caught a little bit of baseball. I stopped watching baseball a long time ago. It just got to be too much. Like, I couldn't handle it. Flipped it on last night because it was on. Watched the Giants and the Dodgers play, and I'm a little impressed with how they've made the game a little bit faster. However, I was still like, okay, I'm done. So I turned it off. But MLB Gambling Podcast has got you covered if you're somebody that can watch an entire game and loves to bet on the MLB and all of the baseball games out there. So make sure you're checking them out. It's awesome. The MLB Gambling Podcast, they got their free daily picks that are just like ours, but for baseball. And you need to subscribe to them. I don't know what you're waiting for, but you need to hurry up and get there. It's all completely free, just like everything on the network. So definitely go check them out as well.
I think Walter said it best. SGPN is hot face emoji, fire emoji. Absolutely. Love it. Your brother checking in. Afternoon, guys. We're making some money today. I plan on making some money today. I've seen Rod's bets. Yeah, there's a couple good ones, but a couple of them we're going to argue about. So I don't know if he's making any. Nick Fortune says soccer for the summer months for him, along with the NASCAR Gambling Podcast. First of all, we should be the first part of that sentence, but that's okay. There are some soccer shows on the network as well. Or I think there's at least one. I know there's at least one. There might be two. I don't know.
There was two at one point. I think they're either conglomerated or they're whatever. So yes. We'll see how that works.
But soccer's your thing. There you go. You got that out there too. So
indeed. All right. Again, we go to Martinsville. It is in Ridgeway, Virginia, not Martinsville. It's close to Martinsville, but it is in Ridgeway. We are set for 250 laps around this 0.526 mile paved track for 131.5 miles of beating, of banging, of paper clipping, of all kinds of crazy stuff going on for this Xfinity race.
Rod, you thought temperatures got a little hot last week. They're about to get real hot this week. And I do want to say this as we go into this. We didn't touch on this in the Cup Series because I don't think it applies to the Cup Series. The Xfinity Series and the Truck Series, things can get pretty heated and pretty crazy. You've got to build some chaos in both of these series. More the Truck Cup Series, I think, is going to be very hot this week. We talked about that yesterday. I wouldn't worry about building for chaos in there. But in the Xfinity Series and in the Truck Series, things get a little more wild. There's going to be more beating and banging. Rod, when you beat and bang, don't take your bumper down the track and throw it at another driver. That will cost you $5,000. Joey Gase was fined today, $5,000 for that. I don't know. You love to see it, but you also can't be walking down the track towards speeding race cars. So I guess that $5,000 fine probably appropriate. Hey, don't do this again. But it was great. They're selling a bunch of T-shirts for charity, so that's awesome.
Yeah, it makes for a great YouTube clip for sure. So, I mean, and by the way, check the link in the Discord. We're going to start a GoFundMe to help pay his fine because all of us were entertained. If you were entertained by for 5 seconds by donate $5 to his cause.
Not a bad idea. That's I mean, hey, help them out. They're a small race team, right?
Yeah, they are. So what else?
But yeah, that was I just wanted to kind of set that up. But it's gonna be some beating and banging. Could be some crazy things that happen in this race for sure.
And I'll tell you to put that into context too. So if you look at the 2023 dead on tools. And so unlike the Cup Series too, we talked about it too, where the fall race has got an extra 100 laps in it and the spring race is 400. Xfinity doesn't matter. If fall, spring, it's all 250 laps. So there's no real difference. So you can use all of the data that we're talking about. So in the fall race of 2023, 15 cautions for 101 laps of this 250. 10 cautions for 82 in the spring race. And then in the fall race of 2022, 14 cautions for 91 laps, 16 cautions for 100 laps in the spring of 2022. I could probably keep going like this all day.
I didn't even realize that the numbers were that big when I mentioned there was going to be chaos. I just know that there's chaos here. Let's make sure you're definitely heeding the comment of there could be some serious chaos in this race.
Yeah, I mean, you want to talk about when almost half of the race is run under caution.
Watch out if Dawson Cram and Joey Gase get together, as Myron says, because that's what led to the bumper throwing incident last week.
I wonder if they talk to each other because apparently Gase gave him his shot right in the Xfinity Series. So how dare he take him out?
I don't know. I think don't quote me on this. I think I saw Dawson Cram was selling shirts to raise money for Joey Gase's charity or something. So
that's awesome.
I think So I think that was maybe his way of smoothing it over. So maybe they're fine. Maybe we'll see them wreck each other this weekend. Who knows?
Maybe it will be unrelated to anything else out there on the field. So once again, I didn't see any Cup regulars on the entry list.
No, this is a Dash for Cash race. So last week was the qualifier for Dash for Cash. So this is a Dash for Cash race. So yes, once again, this is a great point. No Cup Series regulars in this, which means, Rod, that it's going to open up some other opportunities for guys for sure. So you've got 39 entries for 38 spots, so one driver will not make the race. The number 14 car is going to be Logan Bearden. You should look him up real quick because I know the name, but I can't think of how I know the name, where he's from. He's going to be in the SS Greenlight entry. And then Taylor Gray back in the Joe Gibbs Racing 19 car again this week, coming off of that great finish last week. We'll talk about him a little bit today. Eric Almirola is back in the 20 car again. Corey Heim also back in the 26 car. In the 35 car is, where's the 35 car at, Rod? Where'd it go?
35 car is
Ogata.
Ogata,
that's a Joey. Actually, so Joey Gase not even in this race. He's in the 53. That's right. So Ogata's in that one. Matt DiBenedetto, we're going to talk about him a little bit today. He's in the 38 car again, and Ryan Vargas in the 74. That is the people Bob Pockers thought were notable. Most notable, obviously, would be Gray, Almirola, and Heim in their respective cars.
Logan Bearden made one start in the Xfinity Series in his career. That was last week at Richmond, where he finished in 22nd place in that race. He has made 3 Craftsman Truck Series starts with an average finish of 20.3 and a Cars late model start in 2018 and finished 12th in that. So,
for some reason I thought I had heard of him more somewhere else, but maybe not.
You're thinking of Ollie Behrman. That's what you're thinking of.
Probably that. Potentially, who knows?
You're thinking of the Ferrari driver, the little Ferrari driver that could, as he chugged his way along in some great Ferrari equipment. So, all right. Well, I think we've good and thoroughly set up this race. So we will get to our betting.
One thing before we go to that, Arturo says I need 3 good picks to bet against my friend Arlie. He took my money last week when I went with Gibbs. I need a little more context and details, like what type of picks are we talking about here? Like just 3 straight, like outrights, the best 3 cars, and in which series? Get back to us on that. We'll answer that question because I'm intrigued.
3 of your favorite ones and take that.
That's not a good betting strategy, Rod.
Take 3 of his favorite bets from us.
Oh, 3 of his favorite bets. Yes. Okay. I thought you were just saying 3 of your favorite drivers. I'm like, you don't just bet on 3 of your favorite drivers. Like,
I'm taking 3 of the bets that we give. If you don't want to take 3 of our bets, then don't listen to the show. That's
also like, it depends because this is your 3 best bets, or is it just 3 outright? So he says outright. So that's not necessarily like, we don't always, again, does the number matter here? Or are we just straight up picking, these are the 3 guys I'm taking? Xfinity Cup, let us know. All right, do your ad read, Rod, and then we'll answer his question.
So glad I got permission.
I'm super intrigued by his question. So
yeah, me too. All right, let's do this. Let's talk about Cut. Cut is the peer-to-peer social betting platform that's U.S. based and available in 40 states. Peer-to-peer social betting is brand new, and it's a better way to bet. You can bet directly against your friends, just like our tour. You can bet against your friends or other users on sports, politics, pop culture, and other events, so long as it's got a verifiable outcome. Plus, it's tons of fun. It's got social features that give it the feel of a betting social network. Plus, it offers the lowest, big, and fully customizable odds, which means you can create your own bet. Not to mention, Cut handles the payment side of things, so you never got to chase anybody else down again for money. There's social features like group chats, betting leaderboards, head-to-head history, user profiles, fan groups, and so much more, like rewards. Get cash back every single time you bet against your friends or other users. So many great Cut bets to be made. In fact, we'll turn a couple of these into Cut bets, because I'm pretty sure we have we're going to need to if you look at the betting card. Download Cut today in the App Store or over at cut.com. That's KUTT.com. Use promo code SGPN for a 10% deposit bonus. We love us some underdog fantasy, and we've been giving you underdog fantasy plays all season long, and we will continue to do exactly that, because underdog fantasy is the easiest place to play fantasy sports. It's also the fastest growing fantasy app in the industry. All you got to do is pick better than or worse than the finishing positions that are projected for each driver in not just the Cup Series, but in the Xfinity Series, in the Truck Series, hell, F1, if you want to do that as well. And you can actually cross sports as well. Told you baseball is going on earlier. There's still some other sports. I think there's a little bit of basketball happening. So I know hockey's probably disappeared at this point, or maybe it's still going. I don't know. If it's not NASCAR, I don't know what's going on. But find those sports, cross promote. Find those little chili peppers too. If you gain enough of those, if you build up your multiplier enough, you can win up to 100x on your entry just by looking for those spicy plays. So make sure you're doing that. Sign up with our promo code now, RACESGPN. You're going to get your first deposit double up to $100 as well as an instant pick'em special. So go visit underdogfantasy.com or find them in the App Store. And don't forget to register with our promo code RACESGPN to get your first deposit doubled up to $100 as well as an instant pick'em special. Must be 18 or older and present in a state where Underdog Fantasy operates. Terms apply. Concerned with your play? Call 1-800-522-4700 or visit www.ncpgambling.org.
Rod, you know what is available on Underdog? The women's college basketball is available on Underdog. I have an article out today on sportsgamblingpodcast.com with my best bets for the women's tournament for the Final Four. Tomorrow, Rod, there will be an article out with my favorite underdog picks for the women's Final Four. So you can cross-sport those with your F1 picks this weekend, with your NASCAR picks. They got all three series, with your men's college basketball Final Four as well. So, yeah, fucking love it.
I love it, too. We're going to talk about this later on, obviously, in F1 when we go live with F1, but I want more over-unders on the books for finishing positions. I want individual ones, because I'm happy with what they gave us, as I usually am, but
I need to look into this. I was listening to are you talking about just in general or for Xfinity specifically?
Well, I'd like to Xfinity as well, because I know that Phil finds these over-unders, but
so
I never
he
seen
said, I was listening today to Full Tank with Phil, which you should go listen to. Great show. He said that you can't find them on the app. You can only find them on the website.
And yet here I am on the website.
But I was going to say, I think you usually use the website, because I always look on the apps. I don't know. We have Phil's number, so we'll text him after the show and get some answers to that, because I would actually like to play more of those. He said, and I'll toss this out there, I don't want to give away all his plays, obviously, but Tyler Reddick's like 9.5 or 10 over on Caesars. If you're able to find that wherever they're secretly hiding it, go hammer the worse than finish on that one, because that's all right. That's a good one. All right, back to Arturo. Listens every week for our analysis, picks the drivers. Thank you, we appreciate that. Okay, so each week, Rod, they pick 3 drivers for Xfinity. Whoever have the best driver of the 6 wins the money. Here's my 3: Eric Almirola, Brandon Jones, and Austin Hill.
I can't argue with you on the Brandon Jones one, and in fact, I think that's where I'm going to go with. So I'll back you on Brandon Jones. I'm going to toss in a couple of my outrights, but I think Brandon Jones is where I feel strongest.
Okay. Boom.
So
there you go, Arturo. Best of luck. I hope you beat your friend. And I know you don't like sharing all your secrets, but tell your friend to listen to the show too.
Yeah, please. I mean, if nothing else, then he can pick one side of it and you can pick the other and we can all be good. So
yeah, just whichever one of us you're a fan of, whether it's me or Rod, make sure he's a fan of the other one, and then you guys will have different picks whenever it comes to the Xfinity Series.
We're gonna have to start this Twilight style hashtag Team Rod or hashtag Team Cody. So no, because my
Arturo said he already sent the link to him. We appreciate that. Thank you. Share with all of your friends, by the way. All right, Rod.
Let's get this card started, shall we?
Let's get this card started. If you just want to go ahead and play the recording from every other fucking time we've done this show, Rod.
I need to clip that out. Actually, I feel like that's a good idea.
I don't even want to keep saying it. Like, we should just play the recording. Bet Austin Hill top 5. Okay, what's the next bet? I mean, plus 375 on ESPN, Rod. Look, I understand that it didn't hit last week. I know that, but this is a system play. You do it every week. It hits more times than it doesn't. I'm not going to go through all the stats, but he's not been bad at Martinsville by any means. He was 4th in stage 1 last season before he ended up getting in a wreck. He has 4th and 9th place finishes here in 2022. Keep in mind, no Cup Series guys in this race as well, which I think we've had in the previous spring races at least. So that factors into this as well. But plus 375 for a top 5 for Austin Hill. It's like they don't pay attention ever. And yes, he didn't do it last week, but Roddy was 6th place with like 5 laps to go. I know he ends up finishing 8th or 9th because a couple of cars got past him at the end, but he was hanging around there like he always does. If we get some Martinsville chaos, a top 5 for Austin Hill, you just have to bet this every week, especially when they're hanging numbers like plus 375.
Yeah, plus 375 is insane. Like I saw that too, and I was like, wait a second. And you probably should do this now and do it who's got it?
ESPN has ESPN Bet has the best
and you should be
the best line right now. And half the time he sucks at qualifying apparently, because half the time he ends up being a bigger number. I would still get it just in case. And then you can, I mean, if the number gets bigger than that, I'm doubling down anyways. So, if he ends up with a bigger number because he qualifies bad, I don't fucking care. You still bet it. And that goes for every week.
Indeed. All right. Well, then, let's do this. Let's turn our attention to a head-to-head matchup that I know that Cody is hot on the money to want to back on this one.
And you forced me into the corner like this, Rod. I don't appreciate this because I wasn't going to have any hate for this guy this week. And you're making me have to hate it. And I don't like this.
I don't hate this at all. So, but one thing I do hate about this, and I'll get to the bet right now. It's SVG, right? Shane Van Gisbergen. And he's in a matchup with Matt DiBenedetto. Now, the only thing I don't like about this the most is the fact that it's minus 180. I don't like the price. I really don't like the price. But you only pay the
really
juice.
Bad.
You only pay the juice if you lose. And I'm here to tell you right now, okay? Matt DiBenedetto has one start this season in the Xfinity Series. He finished 18th at Richmond. That is insanity to the max of where I'm going to take a guy like Matt DiBenedetto, who is a perennial 18th place finisher. He's not good at short tracks at all in the Xfinity Series. If you look at his short track history, he's got 16 starts, 1 top 10 finish in all of his short track starts in Xfinity. 1 top 10 finish. I see you. Let me finish my case first. Where we're talking about a Shane Van Gisbergen who has actually shown us that he's not terrible. He's not good. I mean, he's not the second coming of Christ. I understand that. But Shane, in his first short track start, finished 15th, which is better than Matt DiBenedetto, who's been a racer for a very long time, who has raced very many tracks in his career, who has experience on the Cup Series side of things, who has Xfinity Series starts, who's got Truck Series starts, and yet can't really find his way into the top 10. It just doesn't make sense to me that I'm going with this guy, yes, but at the same time, 6th at Phoenix for Van Gisbergen. Another solid finish there, right? I know the road course that he was supposed to dominate, he actually did pretty good. But here's the thing. What this all boils down to is that I do not believe that Matt DiBenedetto is going to get a top 20 finish in this race. Therefore, I think Shane Van Gisbergen, who has been racing full time in this series this season, who is not just jumping into a car for the second time this year, can get it done over Matt DiBenedetto. So Give me Shane Van Gisbergen, -180 over Matt DiBenedetto. You're not paying the juice because you're not losing this one.
What's the other side of like? Can you while I speak? Will you?
Okay.
I should have looked this up while you were talking.
Do you
What's
want-
the
do you
Matt
want-
DiBenedetto side?
The Matt DiBenedetto side for let's see what
Walter says, Rod, I don't think Cody agrees. I don't know why.
Oh no, I know Cody doesn't agree, and that's okay.
right.
So Matt DiBenedetto, I got this on. What did I get this? I'm looking for it right now. Caesars.
It's Caesars. But anyways, while you're looking, first of all, -180 in a head-to-head matchup, unless this is Max Verstappen, and I've been told that Shane Van Gisbergen is better than Max Verstappen, although I'm not sure that I buy that. You don't lay -180 on a head-to-head. So that's the first problem with this. The second problem with this, Rod, if you're going to lay -180 on a head-to-head, even though I just said you don't, it's got to be against somebody you have some confidence to do something in. You think SVG is going to be 15th, so he's going to be back in the middle of the Hornet's Nest on a short track in Martinsville where anything can happen. Look, SVG has been very consistent. He survived chaos and finished 6th at Phoenix. Impressive. Wasn't running there all day for sure, but hey, you give it to him, right? He was impressive with the road course, but you throw that out because that doesn't really matter here. This is a different type of racing, and I mentioned this earlier in the week. I think it was Door Bumper Clear had talked about this on their show, so they also had some negative things to say about the Lord and Savior here. He's not used to this type of rough racing that he's about to see here on the short track. Like, they get penalized if they bump someone in the Australian Supercars race. It's a different style of racing. I think he's in for a rude awakening. I think that he can have an okay day, 15th to 20th place car. I agree with you on that part of it. But Matt DiBenedetto, I think, can have a better day than that, and I'm going to make a very, very strong case for DiBenedetto in a few minutes, which, you know me, I'm not the biggest Matt DiBenedetto fan, Rod, so I'm not just racing to Matt DiBenedetto's side of things here for just any reason. And I didn't hate on SVG this week, and that's not what this is. This is just a simple fact of you don't lay -180. If this was -110, fine. You want to place this bet, whatever. I don't really care. I don't have an opinion. Not a -180. And I also think that DiBenedetto will finish better than SVG this week. I've got more thoughts on him in a little bit when we get to a bet on him.
DiBenedetto side of it +150.
Whew. Yeah, I mean, again, I would take DiBenedetto +150 on this head-to-head.
Well, then that's fine.
Walter's saying cut bet. We might
need
have
to take
to.
the cut
We
bet.
might have to cut this one up.
I believe that's going to have to be a cut bet. So I'll work on putting that one up, and we'll see who wants to take that side of it. So
Yes.
all right, Cody. Well, I
should be able to get a ton of action on this. There's a lot of SVG stands in our
There really
in
are,
our
too.
Discord. So
All
right.
coming up.
couple of head-to-heads that I like, Rod. This is gonna be sadly the fade AJ Allmendinger section of the program, and it's not because I think AJ's a bad driver, not because I dislike AJ. I love the guy. This is a fade against Colleague, Rod. Colleague, what's going on over at Colleague? I don't know. Are they just done? They got tired of racing, tired of hashtag trophy hunting, unless it's a road course. I don't know. But the cars
Easter
suck.
Bunny hid the trophies too well. That's what it was.
I guess. I mean, but like their cars suck outside of road courses. They're always going to be good on road courses, mostly because of the drivers they have. But they're able to do good on road courses. So you throw all that out when it comes to road courses. But look back at AJ Allmendinger here. He was 16th here the last time he started a race, 3rd and 7th place before that. So he's got some good finishes at Martinsville. So I understand why he's in these head-to-heads. But then 7th, 13th, 26th in the other starts he has. But you look back, 14th place last week at Richmond. Again, very unimpressive. It's a pretty bad run for AJ Allmendinger. And again, all those Colleague cars were, right? They finished basically like 3 in a row right there. SVG, Josh Williams. And then another ding against the SVG matchup is he's in a fucking Colleague car and they suck. So I don't know. But so really that's kind of the angle that I'm going at. 18th place at Phoenix. Again, that was kind of a chaotic race. So the two drivers I'm taking over AJ Allmendinger. I'm taking Taylor Gray over AJ Allmendinger, -120 over on Superbook. Look, Taylor Gray, he's back in a Joe Gibbs Racing Xfinity car this week. How'd that go in his first career start last week, Rod? Pretty fucking good, right? He finished in 3rd place. I'm also taking Austin Hill over AJ Allmendinger, -115. Again, Rod, he's going to be there, right? 5th to 10th place. It's where he's going to be at the end of the day. I don't think AJ is going to be there this week. So that's a take on Hill. For Gray, again, 3rd place last week in his first career Xfinity Series start, back in the same car for a second straight week. That is nice. You go back and look at his Truck Series races here. 8th place in 2022. Rod, in 2021, in his 4th career Truck Series start, at the old age of 16 years old, he finished 8th place here. He's been pretty good here on this track at 16 years old against grown-ass men like Matt Crafton and Stuart Friesen and whoever else might have been in the field that day. He finished 8th place. He's been pretty solid at this track. And, I love Gray this week. So I think that these ones are easy. Mostly it's a fate of AJ just because the equipment he's in, they've not shown it this year. Again, I don't think that they're going to be super competitive this week again. So give me Taylor Gray over AJ Allmendinger -120. Austin Hill over AJ -115.
As much as it pains me, I'm with you on this one, only because, again, I don't know. I don't know why AJ is lacking. It's so crazy. Seth Wilcox saying Sup fan.
Yes, we'll be talking about that a little bit.
We will be talking about that for sure.
We're going to be hammering Eric. Don't worry.
Yeah, don't worry about that. But yeah, I mean, it does pay me to say it, and I'm with you on that one, especially because Taylor, when he jumped up and did what he did, it was so fantastic to see. And when you got a guy that comes in out of nowhere and puts all of the other regulars to task, then yeah, I'm going to take him as well.
And again, like, you go back and you look at these drivers who get in these Gibbs cars, Rod, and how good they are. If your name is not Joe Graff, if your name's not Sheldon Creed, you're good. Sammy Smith was fucking good last year in this car. Dude has not done shit in JRM this year. Like, he's in a good car. He's clicking on all cylinders right now in the Truck Series, and now his one start in Xfinity. So yeah, love it.
All right. Well, speaking of guys that are just jumping in, let me give you Carson Kvapil. Carson Kvapil making his Xfinity Kvapil. Well, Kvapil. It's more, Kvapil. That's really what it is.
Close enough.
Travis Kvapil. But yes, I'm all over Carson Kvapil. Travis, yes, is his dad. But young Carson making his first Xfinity Series start in the 88 JRM car. Now, granted, this guy does drive the Cars late model for Junior Motorsport.
Not only does he drive it, Rod, 2-time defending Cars Tour champion, and he's missing he's running for the points championship for a 3rd straight year, missing the race to be in this race. That's how important racing here in his first career start is for him and for JRM. That's to be very highlighted.
Yeah, and again, that's really what this is all about. This is that 88 car that we saw actually come in and do well last week, right? Because we took the 88 car last week too, thinking this is going to be a good car. Now, granted, it had to start in the back, but drove it all the way up to the front, right? So Bubba did, not Bubba Wallace, but
Bubba
yeah,
Pollard.
I mean, Bubba Pollard took it and drove it all the way through the field and up to a pretty solid finish on the day. So we know this 88 car is fast. Well, there is a head-to-head matchup with young Carson and Sheldon Creed. I'm taking the Carson side of this, plus 100. So even money for Kvapil to finish better than Creed. And honestly, I get it. I know that Carson has only had one Truck Series start in his entire career, but that Truck Series start was actually at Bristol, where he started 27th and finished 12th. So, hello, a top 12 for a guy making his first Truck Series start on a short track, no less. Where are we at? A short track. So, Sheldon Creed. I don't know that I want to beat up on the guy very much. He's already got the puppy dog blood.
You don't need to. He's done it himself, Rod.
He has beat up on himself. 3 top 10s in 6 races. That does not tell the entire story. 2 of those were on super speedways. One of them was at Phoenix, but the last 2 finishes for him, 32nd, 35th, and he really hasn't even been running all that well. Seth saying, like it, Creed's good here, but he's just so cheeks this year. Yeah, he is.
Yeah.
But here's the thing, and when you look at it this way too, he's been good, but he's been good in the fall. Now, I started this whole thing off by saying there's no difference between fall and spring in Xfinity Series as far as laps are concerned, but for Sheldon, these might as well be night and day races because in 2022 in the spring, 30th, in 2022 in the fall, 2nd in 2022 or 2023 in the spring, 27th in 2023 in the fall, 2nd. So yeah, he could grade it finishing 2nd place in the fall, but in the spring he is garbage. And granted, that was all in the 2 car. Now he's in the 18 car that he has not made look very good at all this year. So again,
one of the few drivers who can make the Gibbs cars look bad, Rod.
It's so crazy to think, but that's exactly where we're at. But you even look at Creed's short track history, only a third of the races that he's ever been in. He's been in 9 short track races in the Xfinity Series. He's only got 3 top 10 finishes, 2 of those top 5s, which is fantastic and all. And 2 of those were the second place finishes here at Martinsville. So, yeah, I mean, I'll take young Carson to beat Creed in this one because I think that 88 car is fast, and we know he's fast. So if he can keep it straight, keep the bumpers on it, I think he's in for a good solid finish where I can't say the same about Creed. So give me him on Creed plus 100.
I love this. Look, Carson Quapple is a name you're going to need to learn because you're going to be hearing him for a while. He's going to be coming up through the track here. He'll likely be a JRM driver in the future. A good chance he ends up being a cup driver someday as well. So learn his name now. I think he's going to be impressive in his first start. We've seen it from, look, these talented kids that get in good cars. Taylor Gray last week, right? We've seen it time and time again. Ty Gibbs wins in his first start. Talented kid in a good car. You're putting these talented young drivers that are on the fast track in really good cars. They're going to show up and do it. So I like that. And Sheldon Creed, you have to fade him. How can you not at this point from what you've seen so far?
You can't. Honestly, it's until I'd rather get beat on this one if he does do well. Yeah. But I'd like to take a chance on the young kid.
And maybe he jumps up and bites us eventually because, look, he's in a fucking Joe Gibbs car. He should be fast. But until he does, we're going to use it against him because he's not doing shit outside of super speedways, really. So, yeah, I like it.
All right, Cody, where we go next?
All right, Rod. I said you had to build for some chaos here. So a little bit of chaos building here. But I believe in both these picks, and I really like the numbers they're at. So Parker Retzlaff, not a guy we've talked about a lot, not a guy we bet on a bunch. But I'm taking his top 5, 10-1 over on Bet365 for Parker Retzlaff. Look, he's been pretty impressive from what we've seen, right? Started the season off, 2 banger finishes at super speedways, got things rolling, and then a couple of rough weeks with some bad finishes. But comes back last week at Richmond, sits the thing on the pole for his first ever career pole. He's a young, nerdy-looking kid, iRacer, right? That's how he got into all this. Another one of those stories. But you go back last season, or the last couple of times that we've been here, he was 7th place in the fall, Rod. Last time we were here, he was 11th last spring. You go back to 2022 when he was just running part-time. He finished 12th place here. So that's 3 races in a row. 12th or better, increasingly getting better. 12th, 11th, and 7th, right? And again, if you finish 7th in the fall for 2 more spots at 10-1, it's not that hard of a case to make, right? 27 laps he led last week from Richmond, where he started on the pole. You know, Phoenix, he started 4th place, so look for him to be a guy that can qualify well. So I'd get in on this ahead of qualifying because he's been doing well in qualifying. If he can put the race together and get to the end, he's the type of guy who can cash this bet. And then, Rod, I know you hated on him earlier, but I think Matt DiBenedetto has the potential to get a top 5 finish. Now, look, I don't think he's going to be just the top 5 fastest car out here as Rod sits back in his chair like I did earlier. But at 30-1, Rod, that's the thing. It's 30-1 for Matt DiBenedetto to get a top 5 finish this week. So we're looking at things here, right? And I even made fun of it when he came back, like, oh, he finally got a ride. Oh, it's in some shitty thing. But they've got an RSS. I mean, really on the entry list, it listed as an RSS car, Ryan Sieg Racing car, right? So he's in a decent car. He comes in last week, hadn't been racing for a little while. You know, he missed the last 3 Truck Series races last year because they just got kicked out of the ride. Didn't start the season anywhere. Jumps 18th place at Richmond. Not a bad run by any means for Matt DiBenedetto. And you look at it, he's not been bad here. I know you read off some Xfinity Series finishes that weren't good. I didn't look back at those. It's been a little while. I don't remember what types of cars he was in, but I don't feel like they were great cars. But you look at his last 4 Cup Series starts in Martinsville. Was in the old car, so a lot more comparable to what this Xfinity Series car is now. And a much tougher field being in the Cup Series. 15th, 12th, 10th, 7th place in his last 4 starts at Martinsville. Solid runs by Matt DiBenedetto. I think he's going to need some help, right? It's going to be a strategy call. It's going to be some type of chaos, a couple of wrecks. We end up with 15 wrecks or 15 caution flags for 106 laps or whatever you said earlier. Stuff like that's going to help him out. But at 30-1, Matt DiBenedetto is capable of getting a top 5. So on his way to beating SVG, in your head-to-head, he's going to cash this top 5 at 30-1.
Well, okay, so long as SVG comes in 4th, then we're all good. I don't even care
There
if
you go.
that's
Then everybody's a winner because I won't care if I lose that head-to-head if he hits the 30-1.
Indeed. Look, I don't know. You really can't sell me on Matt DiBenedetto. I as a truck driver, even
at 30-1, Rod.
Even at 30-1, I don't, not as a top 5 card, especially not when you at the loaded top of the field. I'd get the chaos.
But is it a loaded top of what's loaded about the top of the field, Rod?
Well, okay, so
name me the loaded top of the field because there's no Cup Series guys in this.
Well, and
Chandler Smith, Eric Almirola,
Cole Custer, Justin Allgaier.
Yeah, is that loaded?
And I'm talking about, like, if we want Riley Herbst in there, if we want
guys like Riley Herbst. Yeah, there's some other guys who can get it done, but it's not. You don't have Kyle Busch and William Byron and Ty Gibbs, and I don't know. And again, do I think he's just the 5th fastest car out there? No. But we've seen Ryan Sieg have a couple of good runs this. I know they've got a little bit of partnership with SHR. I don't know how much money DiBenedetto's actually kicking in. I should have paid more attention last week. Does he actually have a sponsor that he brought with him? I don't understand how nobody wants to ever sponsor the guy. But anyways, I think that at 30-1, worth a little dabble just because I think that he's capable of putting it up there and maybe making a shot at it.
It looks like his sponsor is Viking Motorsports. So we'll see.
Which is I don't know what that is, but good for them.
Good for them. All right.
And also keep in mind too, the other thing I wanted to point out, he's a veteran guy. He's been around a long time. He's in the Cup Series for a long time. Look, Harrison Burton, Rod, I know it's a new car. I know it's different and everything. Harrison Burton's worse than Rick Ware cars in the point standings this season on the 21 car. DiBenedetto had some pretty good races in that 21 car. Again, I'm not a big DiBenedetto stan, but he's not a bad driver. He's experienced. He can jump in these cars. I know it's only had one race back, but it was 18th, a good run for that car. I think he could improve a little bit. You get a little chaos, a little help. Boom, top 5.
If Matt DiBenedetto gets a top 5, I will find some kind of merch and I will wear it for the entire week that we do when I finally get it. So we'll put that on the line. All right. Speaking of a guy who I do think can find the way to a top 5, and that is Brandon Jones. He is at plus 275 over on ESPN for a top 5 finish. Look, at this guy was on his way to a top 5 finish a couple of years ago before Ty Gibbs did the right thing by punting him out of the way and eliminating him from contention in that race in 2022. He did start on the pole that day, ended up finishing 23rd as a result, but he led 98 laps in that race. He did win the spring race here in 2022 as well. 5th place in the spring race of 2023, 16th in the fall, unfortunately, of last year in that 9 car. But in 7 total starts, 5 top 10s, 3 top 5s, and that win, average finishing position of 9.3. Look, Brandon Jones has not made this season look sexy. And for all that it's worth, you know that I love myself some Brandon Jones just from the old days, right? Just from my remembering days of loving junior motorsports, which feel like it was a long time ago because I'm not loving on them nearly as much as I have been in the past. But listen, for Brandon Jones last week, he started 2nd, had that engine just go south. I mean, we talked about it in the Discord. If there wasn't bad luck, Brandon Jones would have no luck at all. So unfortunately, he had a fast car in qualifying, couldn't see the potential of it because he only got 42 laps in before his engine collapsed and gave way. So he finished 37th in that one. But, a 7th place at Phoenix, which is kind of more like I think what the run we'll see. 9th at Vegas, which, again, it's not a short track, but still a pretty solid top 10 finish. Quietly, Brandon Jones has still been a pretty decent car. He just caught a couple of bad breaks here and there, not even counting Austin, just from a standpoint of that's not even a factor. So for Brandon Jones, I feel like this is a get right week for him. And plus 275 for a top 5 is pretty damn good considering what the other folks are sitting at right now. And Arturo says, I still have them in my heart. Yes, I carry Junior Motorsports in my heart. Always.
Yeah, Rod doesn't love Junior Motorsports as much anymore as he's on his 2nd consecutive Junior Motorsports bet.
I know. Well, see, that's what I'm saying. Like the heart goes where the heart wants to go. So, give me Brandon Jones as a top 5 car. Like I said, I honestly, this is a get right week for me. This is a track where he knows how to get around. If he could just keep his nose out of trouble, if he can qualify well, I really think that we're in in good standing for this. So if this hits and SVG doesn't, then you're not heartbroken.
Speaking of SVG, our buddy Chris, did I miss the SVG love? I would like to tell them to go back and listen to the beginning of the show, but I don't know if I want to hear in the Discord after he does listen to the beginning of the show. But that's all right. Hopefully you're on cut, Chris, because we might have a bet that we can take each other up on. So, yeah, you stole this one from me, Rod. Beat me to the dock this week. Love Brandon Jones, top 5. Martinsville is always one of the places you look for him. Good value at plus 275. So I like that one. So I had to improvise since you stole that one from me. I also have Brandon Jones, top Chevrolet, and our buddy Seth had asked thoughts on Justin A. To be the top finishing Chevrolet. Look, Justin Allgaier is plus 290 to be the top finishing Chevrolet. You look at the Chevy field, and Justin Allgaier stands above everyone else pretty easily, in my opinion. Do you trust him is the question, right? And how he finishes, that's the thing. Okay, I guess Justin Allgaier second to SVG in the Chevy field. Sorry, I should clear that up. So I think plus 290 is not a bad number, but I'm going with Brandon Jones. Austin Hill also 12-1 honorable mention. You know what? Not honorable mention. That's an official play, Rod. I meant to put that with the top 5 at the beginning of the show. So top Chevy, 12-1 Austin Hill. Go ahead and add that to your official card because it's an auto play. It's just you have to do it. So taking Austin Hill and I'm taking Brandon Jones plus 850. Look, you look at the Chevy field again. It's sort of, I guess I don't know that you can compare it to the Ford field in the Cup Series, but I guess it's a similar market because we just don't really know like who are the good Chevy drivers. You've got Allgaier, who should be the best, but can't seem to catch a break, right? But he should be the best. But what if he's not, Rod? What if something happens, right? You take him out. Sam Mayer, I'm fucking tired of betting on the guy because he's got worse luck than anyone. Sammy Smith sucks. I mean, like he was good here in the JGR car, but is he going to be good here in JRM when he's not been any good with them? I don't see it. You got Carson Qualpool. Yes, okay, the books are showing him some love, but first start, I understand we like him, but I don't know. Jesse Love, I probably should show more respect to, but still not completely sold. Brandon Jones, for what he's done in his history at this track, again, should have won that 22 race in the fall here, led 98 laps, won the second stage. Gibbs punted him late. He finished 16th in the fall here, but he was 5th place last spring to your 5th place point, right? He won in April of 22. You look at his other 3 starts here, 6th, 5th, and 9th. He's consistently very good at Martinsville. Again, he's got a couple of spots where he just continues to be good, and you target him. Places like Kansas, places like Michigan, places like Martinsville. Not comparable in any way to those other 2, but he's just good at certain places. That's where you target him. So love Brandon Jones to be the top finishing Chevy. Again, in a market that's kind of outside of Allgaier should be the obvious one. You just don't know a ton about the other Chevys and what they'll do on a week-to-week basis. Then, Rod, I'm also going to go to the top Toyota markets. And again, like every other week, right, we've only got 5 Toyotas in the field. This is a big group. So you take 2 guys out of the group, and they only have to beat 3 other guys. So I'm going to take the 2 long shots in this. It's Corey Hyman 9-1. It's Taylor Gray at 12-1. Eric Almirola is a favorite in this group, and I love Eric Almirola this week. He's going to be on my outright card, so if he wins outright, I'm not going to care if he doesn't, if he ends up being the top Toyota because I want him to win. So I'm going to be covered there. Chandler Smith, who I like on a week-to-week basis, obviously love. I'm not as big on him this week, mostly just because I'm going to be on Eric Almirola really is the only reason, and they're at similar prices. But if something happens to those 2 guys, the only other guy you have to compete with is Sheldon Creed. I think he's already proved his own point on that. So then you get Corey Heim, who was strong last week, battling for the lead in that 26 Sam Hunt car at times and looked good. And Taylor Gray, who finished 3rd in a JGR car. So Eric Almirola, Chandler Smith, maybe they have great days. Maybe they get caught up on something late. Boom, Heimer Gray comes in. And honestly, Heimer Gray could just outrace those guys. I don't see that necessarily happening, but it's a possibility. 9-1, 12-1 for Heim and Gray, respectively, for top Toyota. Again, you're just creating your own group and you're getting massive value because you've got 2 big numbers. All they have to do is beat 3 other guys. They could all 5 wreck out of this race and you could cash it because, one of them finishes in 31st place or whatever the case may be. Then if we get some chaos, which we've seen here a few times, that could be the case for sure. So Brandon Jones, top Chevy, 850. Heim, top Toyota, 900. Gray, top Toyota, 1200.
Chaos. Chaos is the name of the game, but these guys are good enough drivers to where they can get to the top on their own. They don't need chaos,
you don't even need the chaos for any of these three to hit either.
Nope, you certainly don't. You don't need any chaos for this next one to hit either, and that's Riley Herbst. What I love about this is that Riley Herbst has had such a rough start to the season that his top 3 number is now 5-1. So I absolutely love the fact that he has have to a not great start on this season, because that gives you a 5-1. We always say a hammer a Riley Herbst top 5, almost like we say an Austin Hill top 5. At least we used to say that. We don't say that much anymore. But for Riley Herbst, right, he did finish 5th in Las Vegas, which is not a top 3, I understand. But if there's anybody that I think can bounce back more than anything this week, more than a Brandon Jones this week, is a Riley Herbst. So I'm going to get him as a top 3 car. Unfortunately, last week at Richmond, he was 13th. He wasn't really in the mix in the entire race at Richmond in that first short track outing. But on this track in particular, 2 of the last 3 races that he's been have been 3rd place and 4th place finishes. So he finished 3rd in the fall of 2022 and then 4th in the fall of 2023. In the spring of 2023, he was actually riding around in the top, I would say 8, right? Top 8, top 7, before he got taken out on a restart, shortly after a restart. So late in the race, he got taken out. Unfortunately, did not get to realize his full potential in that one, but was top 6, top 5 in the end of stage 1, hanging around there at the end of stage 2 as well. So he's been fast on this track in particular. 5 top 10s in 7 starts, 2 top 5s altogether for the 98 car on this one as well. So again, this isn't as if I think he's going to come out and put down blazing laps. I don't think he's going to be, maybe a top 2 car all day, but I think he can hang around in that top 5. And just like Cody said, if somebody decides they want to get a little physical at the end of this race, and one car shoves their way up to the side, and it doesn't have to be chaos. It could just be Riley Herbst putting himself in the right position at the right time to capitalize on somebody moving up the track on a restart, on a late restart, and nosing his way into a 3rd place finish. So at 5-1, I mean, this is a fantastic number for Riley Herbst as a top 3 car. So I don't know that if he breaks off a top 3 finish this week, and if he has another finish next week, you're not going to see 5-1 for a top 3 for Riley Herbst very much longer. So I would grab this number while you can and just hope that he kind of keeps himself clean and doesn't run into any trouble this week like he did last week at Richmond.
Yeah, I like it. He's plus 220 for top 5 as well. So that's another good place to look at him. We know Herbst can be good on a week-to-week basis. He's been good here in the past. Another guy I was looking at, and Rod beat me to it. So good job, Rod. Props to you. See, there's a few of these bets we can agree on.
Yeah, there is. Just go back to, if you really want violence, go back to the beginning of the show. Then you can tell about that. So.
Chris says he doesn't know what's worse, my basketball picks or my SVG takes. He's a Purdue Boilermaker fan. So apologize for that for you, that you have to be a fan of them. But I did write up your boy Zach Edey in my DFS article for the Final Four that's out there. So you better hope it's not a bad basketball take when it comes to that, Chris. Gotcha. Got him. All right, Rod. Next up on the card, we're going over to that shitty book, Bet365. Hopefully they don't decide that they just don't like this bet anymore after we give it out and take it back from you. But I am going to take Group B over there, and they got Taylor Gray, plus 275. I'm going to take him to win Group B over Sammy Smith. Again, mentioned him earlier. What have he done for me in this car? Nothing. Not seen it. I know he was good here in JGR cars. Rod could probably be good here in JGR car. Sheldon Creed probably can't. Speaking of Sheldon Creed, he's also in this group. He's Sheldon Creed. We've talked about it, right? Jesse Love's the other one in here. Now, Jesse Love does scare me a little bit again, trying to put some respect on him because he's done so well. So basically, I'm counting Sammy Smith out. I'm counting Sheldon Creed out. So the way that I'm looking at this, it's Taylor Gray versus Jesse Love, plus 275. I'll take Taylor Gray. 3rd place last week at Richmond. Like I said before, 2 8th-place finishes in the Truck Series here. One when he was 16 years old, Rod. He's been good here, good short track racer, and he's got all the momentum in the world this year so far through the Truck Series and now the Xfinity Series. So give me Taylor Gray to win Group B on Bet365 over Sammy Smith, Sheldon Creed, and Jesse Love.
Yeah. So the thing about it is that for me, I'm going to make a case for another one of these guys in here later in the thing. But I will say that I can't fault you on Gray. I mean, from what we've seen so far in the one race that we saw him in, I know that we tend to tell you not to overreact on one particular race, but this is a continuation of what we're seeing in the Truck Series. So it's not just like he popped up, had a fantastic race, and we're just kind of going off of that one race. We're seeing the talent. And so if the talent is there, and the finish was there, it stands to reason that we're in for another good finish, especially on a similar track. I mean, we're taking a quarter of a mile away from this one, but it's still a similar-ish race enough to where,
we've been telling you about Taylor Gray since he was 16.
Mm-hmm.
Again, one of those guys you need to keep your eye on. So, and really like him this week. So I think this is a good one.
Well, I don't overreact, Nick, so I would appreciate you not telling me that anymore. So stop it.
Stop overreacting. God, Nick. Jeez.
Nick tells me he overreacts all the time. So,
all right, Rod, I have another bet, but I would like to save this until after your bet.
Well, because you chose violence. You literally saw what I did.
I chose to be correct, I think is what you were saying here. But go. You're
going to argue with me on winning number bets?
Yes, I am.
Oh, all right.
So this will be the first time ever, but the argument is coming.
All right. I'm taking the winning car number. This is set at 11.5. There's plus money on this one. Plus 105. Winning car number under 11.5.
Dawson Cram. You get Dawson Cram on this one, Ron.
That's what I'm saying, bro. That's it. That's my argument. I got Dawson Cram. We're good. Under 11.5. This is where my junior motorsports love kind of just spills over, right? There's Brandon Jones, there's Sammy Smith, there's Justin Allgaier, and then there's Jesse Love, there's Sam Mayer, and there's Cole Custer. That is a loaded back half of the field. I get that there's more cars on the other side of this, and I get there's a lot of great Joe Gibbs cars, but this is where Cody and I do the junior motorsports versus Joe Gibbs thing, because all of my junior motorsports guys, with the exception, of course, of Carson Kowapel, is on the other end of this 11.5 number. And you look back at who's won this race. Justin Allgaier won this race in the fall of 2023. Do I think he's going to do it again? Probably not. Yes, there's two Gibbs drivers that did it, John Hunter and Ty Gibbs back to back. But then there was Brandon Jones, and then there's Noah Gragson, and then there was Josh Berry. Josh Berry was in the 8 back then. So there's been more cars over the last 4 or 5 races on this one that have been under this number than have been over this number. And yes, the two that did it were Gibbs cars, and I get that. But if you really want to do this, you can play it to where you play the under 11.5 and then just put outrights on the guys that you think are going to do it from the Gibbs camp. Because to me, there, like I said, there's a lot of drivers, a lot of great drivers that have the capability of winning this race on the back end of this 11.5. Now, are there on the other side? Yeah. But I still think in particular, there are more drivers on the other end of this that are going to win. So, and I've got 2 in particular that I think are the ones that are going to do it. So, or at least one. The other guy's not, but one of them is.
So you're taking this because you think one guy can win this race?
I think all of them can win this race, but I think I'm going to give one in particular.
Okay, so the other side of this, which is an official play for me, winning car number over 11.5, minus 135. Look, minus 135 is not even that juiced up, but you only pay the juice if you lose. Here's the case, all right? You look at this, and you look underneath of 11.5. First of all, why did they set this at 11.5, Rod? Josh Williams is number 11. Yeah. Logan Bearden is 14. Like, why do we set this at? You would think it would be 15.5 if you don't want AJ on the under, or 17 if you want AJ on. Like, first of all, don't understand the number, but whatever. Anyways, so you get Cole Custer capable of winning. You get Sam Mayer capable of winning. You get Jesse Love capable of winning. You get Justin Allgaier, very capable of winning, one of the favorites in this race. You get Sammy Smith. So that's 5 drivers you get. You also get Brandon Jones, who I'm going to have an outright on, so that'll cancel out if he wins this anyways. Spoiler alert, by the way. But so you get 5 drivers capable of winning this. Justin Allgaier, I think, the biggest threat for sure, because we know what he's capable of. We saw him at Phoenix. He won this race in the fall. So he's definitely the one I'm scared of. But you're telling me on the other side of this, Rod, I can get Josh Williams, Logan Bearden, Haley. Oh, wait, I started the list today. Sorry. You're telling me on the other side
of the show, I was literally going to stop that. If that was your argument, I was like, no, we're done. Thank you
Oh,
guys.
get to the good drivers, okay?
This has been a great ride, but we're done.
You get AJ Allmendinger, and they're fine. I'll take it, okay? You get Sheldon Creed, who I understand we've just shit all over, but he's been good here, and he's in a JGR car, so you're getting him in there. In fact, you get all 4 JGR cars in this, which is already sign me up, right? You get Taylor Gray, who we've been talking about. We're going to talk about more. You get Eric Almirola, who's going to win this race, going to be the best car in this race. You get Austin Hill, who, again, is always there at the end, always wins when nobody expects it. You get Corey Heim in this, who is capable of winning. You get Matt DiBenedetto. I'll just toss that out there. You get Carson Kvapil in this. Maybe he could pull something off. You get SVG in this, Chris. This is a bet on SVG. I would like the record to reflect. You get Riley Herbst, who's capable of winning this. I lost count, Rod. There's so many guys. Oh, yeah, and you get Chandler Smith, who's won the last 2 short track, flat track races in the series, all on the over side of this. This is not even close. Justin Allgaier is the only one I'm scared of underneath of this. Brandon Jones, a little bit. I've got him covered on the outright side of this. Easy. One of the easiest bets I've ever placed is over 11.5. I know that I always say I don't question Rod on numbers bets, but you're way off on this one, buddy.
Well, the books are way off. I'm on the right side of this, and we will definitely.
Yeah, they are way off. Why'd they set it at 11.5 and not like 18.5?
Yeah.
Throw Sheldon Creed on the under to make it look. Maybe that doesn't make it look more appealing, but
no, I would have taken the over. I probably would have ended up taking the over on that case. But no, listen, honestly, again, this is sheer my junior motorsports bias coming through, as well as somebody that I'll make a case for here in a second that I really think is going to win a race, and I think he's going to do it this time around. So I'll stake my claim on that one as well. And look, to your point, I know Seth had brought it up earlier in the chat. I did not bring up Justin Allgaier in this entire episode because
Russ trying to unjinx him.
Show me on the teddy bear where Justin Allgaier has hurt you, and I will point straight to the heart, because he has killed me so often that I feel like it's irresponsible for me to continue to bring him up as an outright because he just hasn't been able to do it. So do I think he can win? Yes, I fully do. He did it last fall. He's a car that was probably a flat tire away from winning a race earlier this season. I honestly believe that Justin Allgaier will win a race. Do I think it'll be this week? God, I hope so. But I'm not going to give him out as an official play because I also have seen too much of the reverse side of this where he doesn't do it. So that is another strong case for why I think this is under as well. But I'm just not giving it out as an official play because I can't do it to you guys again.
Boom. Your brother agrees with me. Case closed.
That's fine.
I'm sorry. I have to go with Cody regarding the winning number.
I drank your
Appreciate
last
that.
beer.
Thank you. Got him. Walter saying sometimes the juice is worth the squeeze. Absolutely. Huge Mistake Gaming checking in. Off on Wednesdays. Glad to make it live. We're glad you did too. By the way, if you want to listen live, go over to the YouTube, hit the subscribe, click the bell. It'll notify you. We go live 99% of the time on these episodes. Every once in a while, we've got one we have to record, but almost always live. You can interact in the chat, get your questions in. Rod, the question now, who's going to win this race?
Well, I told you Justin Allgaier would win, so we're
all right. Good. So funny that he doesn't have Justin Allgaier on his outright card,
but who do you think is going to win this race, Cody?
All right, well, Rod, this is Eric Almirola. He's going to win the race this week. This is his race to lose. It's plus 350. There's no Cup guys in here. Eric Almirola is a short flat track king. He's made me so much money on these types of tracks in the past. You look at everything he's done in New Hampshire. He's been great there. You go back and you look at in the Cup Series. Again, he's not running the Xfinity Series for a while here. Actually, not even sure if he did. Xfinity didn't come to Martinsville for a long time, so he may not have even ran it back in the day. But in the Cup Series, he was second place in the – is that right? Was he second place in the fall? Did I write that down correctly? He led 66 laps in the fall. I do know that that is correct. But finishes a 6th, 15th, 8th, 6th, 20th, 7th in the Cup Series recently. All good finishes. He had a 4th place finish back in the Richard Petty Motorsports in that shitty 43 car at the time when they didn't have any money. 4th place finish here. Eric Almirola is a short flat track king. He's in a Gibbs car. This is his week to shine. He was very impressive last week at Richmond. Kind of fell off at the end there, and Chandler took over. It was kind of lying in wait. I don't think that happens this week. The 1 week I'm off my boy Chandler a little bit. Not because I think he'll be right there in the mix. there's not really a good way to bet on Chandler. They're basically similar prices outrights, and top threes, top fives, it's all nuked way down. So not avoiding Chandler Smith by any means. If you're looking to play him in DFS or any fantasy games you're in, absolutely would. But it's Eric Almirola for me this week. Plus 350. That's really the big investment. That's what I'm looking for my outright, Rod. There's a lot of value on the board, though. So I've got 3 other outrights, and they're just because of the numbers, basically, is the entire argument for these guys. Hey, maybe some shit happens. Maybe Almirola gets knocked out of the race, whatever the case may be. Maybe Brandon Jones is second place and wants to exact revenge on a Gibbs car to win this race. 20-1 over on BetMGM for Brandon Jones. We talked about him earlier. He's won here before. Should have won another race here before as well. So give me Brandon Jones. Corey Heim, Rod, 28-1 over on DraftKings. Again, look back to last week. He was competitive in that 26 car. I know that the 26 car is not a JGR car, but he's an extremely talented driver. We've seen it from him. He beat Kyle Busch here last season in the truck race to win the race. He's talented. Again, maybe he needs a little bit of help. I don't know if you ever heard of Raja Karuth, needed a little bit of help, and look what he did, 80-1, right? We don't give out long shots for no reason. I can't say that enough. So Corey Heim is 28-1 over on DraftKings, worth a sprinkle. And then Rod, Walter brought it up a little bit earlier in the chat. Austin Hill's boosted on Caesars at 28-1 to win. If you don't get Superbook, I do like betting that at 28-1. Superbook has actually got him at 30-1. Austin Hill should never be 30-1, Rod. I don't know how many times I have to say it. Austin Hill will not be the fastest car this weekend. Austin Hill will put himself in position to potentially have a chance to win this race late. You end up, it could be as simple as we're 3 overtimes into this thing. He's starting on the second row. First and second drive into the corner, take each other up. Hill slips by, wins this race. It might look something exactly like that, but at 30-1, you cannot not bet on Austin Hill to win this race.
Yeah, and so for Eric Almirola, I'm with you almost 1,000% on Eric Almirola, only because we saw what happened last week, and I was on him last week to win this race, obviously, and it didn't pan out for me. So again, I got hurt by that, and I'm not necessarily loving that one as well. But that's a good hedge off of my under bet 11.5. But Jones and Heim, yeah, I mean, I'm more comfortable with Jones as a top 5, top 3 car. Heim, you said it, and Hill could pop up and win. So, but Eric Almirola, I can't even argue with you on that one. So my long shot kind of sprinkles are Jesse Love at 18-1, and he's over there on Superbook at 18-1. Look, I mean, this kid is impressive, right? I said it last week as far as the new 2 car being better than the old 2 car, and it's absolutely true. I mean, it's held true all season long. 5th place last week at Richmond, 6th place at Austin, 2nd place at Phoenix, 17th at Vegas. The first 3 races for Love, he started on the pole in 2 of the first ones, and we were, like, yeah, go Jesse Love, right? And unfortunately, those are super speedways, so you get caught up in messes. Las Vegas, kind of another baptism by fire for Jesse Love, but once he figured it out, he's figured it out. Like I said, that 2nd place at Phoenix, that's a mile. I mean, it's still a half a mile longer than what we're at today. But 5th place at Richmond, and he looked good at Richmond. Like, he looked like a solid car all day long, can hold his own. That was his first real short track experience, I suppose, in the Xfinity Series. Of course, now, again, we're lopping off another 1/4 mile for him, so he's got to get used to that as well. But he's proved that he can hang with the best of them. You look at what he did in the Truck Series, 4th place at Phoenix in 2023, 13th and 9th. So, again, a 4th place finish is not a win, but he's cutting his teeth. Now, ARCA Menard Series is kind of where you get the whole thing, right? Last season, he won half of the races in that 2023 ARCA Menard Series, which is why he's got this ride right now. So he won 10 of those 20, 17 top 5s, 18 top 10s. I get it. It's not the Xfinity Series. That's fine. But you look at what his short track performance is overall in the ARCA Menard Series, 22 short track starts in that span, 4 wins, 20 top 10s, 16 top 5s. This kid's not afraid of driving in close quarters. So I am all about Jesse Love. I think he punches his ticket for his first win. And 18-1, I think it's a good stab to take at it. So give me Jesse Love 18-1 to win this race. And then we talked about him all through this episode. Sorry, getting all excited about it, but Taylor Gray, he's at 25-1. to win this race. Cody was talking about him to win groups, talking about him to beat other drivers. And really what we saw last week with Gray, with Love, with these guys that were coming up and just making their first Xfinity Series appearances or whatever the few of them that they have, these guys have been looking impressive. These guys have been taking the rest of the field and showing them, hey, listen, you guys may be comfortable down here, but we're hungry and we're ready to show up. So for Taylor Gray, he finished third. I mean, and that's a short track race. That was the beating and banging of this. Granted, yeah, we talked about Martinsville being different and being a different animal altogether. But again, he's not afraid to get into it. He's not afraid. The truck series, that's all those guys do. They literally just bounce off each other for however many laps it is, 100, 150, whatever, right? So this is nothing new for him. So he's just got to outlast everybody. And maybe he is up in the top 5 again at the end of the race. Maybe Brandon Jones does exact revenge, and all of a sudden here comes Taylor skirting through on the outside to miss all the chaos on the inside. The last restart, fires off better than everybody else, takes it to the checkered flag, and brings you home a 25-1 win. So, yeah, I like Love and Taylor Gray to be kind of the surprise winners of this race.
Yeah, love the Taylor Gray play. If you did not have him already, I would have put him on my side as well. I think the important thing to note here, look, I've got Eric Almirola at plus 350. I'm going big on him. Outside of that, we gave out 5 other outrights, all 18-1 or bigger. There's a lot of value out here on the board. While I think pick your poison, right? Eric Almirola, Justin Allgaier, I think either of those guys are fine to bet on. If you want to go Chandler Smith, I don't think that's a bad way to go either. Of those 3, I think you pick one, and then you just sprinkle some long shots in case chaos happens, because the long shots definitely can hit if it doesn't go the chalky way of one of those other 3 kind of dominating this race and holding on at the end. But yeah, I think we built a pretty good card. We had some nice arguments, which is always fun. Rod and I, we're really good buddies. We get along well. We agree on most things, but it's exciting when we get to argue on stuff.
Yeah, and we don't do it in a way that makes you run to the corner and hide and rock and cradle. So and just for the record,
no, we're not throwing bumpers at each other either. So.
No, we're not. We're not. I would donate to your charity though, Cody, if I needed to mend things over. So
well, that's good to know. I'll have to start.
Brothers aboard the Taylor Gray train. Look, for the record,
you should be.
If you really want to know, Justin Allgaier 7-1. I'm not giving out his official play, but he's 7-1. That's a pretty intriguing number.
It's not a bad number by any means. You can, and honestly, you could probably work that in there with taking Eric Almirola as well. So I would consider it. Again, I don't think either of us are playing it, but just be ready to get bit by bad luck, because it's happened more times than it hasn't.
Yeah, if you believe in Justin Allgaier, if you believe this is his week, take this now, because if he qualifies well, it's not going to be 700 afterwards. So, yeah. All right, get out your pen and paper. We are going to go over the betting card.
Font size, so much more beautiful than the Cup race.
Get out your pen and papers as we are going over the bets for this. Dude Wipes 250 from the Martinsville Speedway in Ridgeway, Virginia. Cody started you out with Austin Hill as a top 5 car at plus 375. And then he added on the top Chevy, which obviously is not on the graphic, but it is there as the official bet at 12-1. I gave you SVG over Matty D at minus 180 over on Caesars. Cody vehemently disagreed with me on that one. Cody then gave you Taylor Gray over AJ Allmendinger at minus 120. Threw in Austin Hill over AJ Allmendinger at minus 115. I gave you a Carson Quapple over Sheldon Creed at even money over on Superbook. Cody gave you Brandon Retzlaff as a top 5 car at 10-1. And Parker Retzlaff. Sorry, it's Parker. Parker Retzlaff as a top 5 car. It's been a long day. At 10-1. Matty D as a top 5 car at 30-1. I vehemently disagreed on that one. Brandon Jones, top 5 car at plus 275 was my next play. And then Cody tacked on Brandon Jones as the top Chevy at 8-1. Corey Heim as a top Toyota at 9-1. And Taylor Gray as a top Toyota at 12-1 at Taylor, right? Not Tanner? Okay, we're good. I gave you Riley Herbst as a top 3 car at 5-1. And then Cody gave you Taylor Gray to win Group B over Sammy Smith, Sheldon Creed, and Jesse Love. I gave you the winning car number under 11.5 at plus 105, where Cody took the other side of it and gave you over 11.5 at minus 135. Gave you Eric Almirola to win at 3.5 to 1, Jones at 20 to 1, Heim at 28 to 1, Hill at 30 to 1, and then I gave you Jesse Love at 18 to 1 and Taylor Gray at 25 to win this race. Well, Cody, that's the card.
Oh, there's a lot of good. Last week, lack of Xfinity stuff that was out there was tough. It was hard to trim the card down to be only that big, Rod, this week. So I love weeks like this. It's great. And we're not even done yet. We're coming back tomorrow with the Truck Series. F1 Gambling Podcast will be tonight. I know we planned on doing it yesterday, but scheduling issues. So we will be on it. I don't know what time yet. We haven't got that far in life, but we'll be back on this evening with that. So make sure you join us. And let's fucking go.
Yeah, I mean, again, it was a great. I actually told Cody too, because earlier when we were putting the doc together, there wasn't nearly as much, and then all of a sudden, as I started digging in, I was like, "Oh, shit, well, okay, we're good. We got plenty." Arturo checking in saying, "Great show as always. Sorry for the bother. Never apologize for asking questions.
We love the questions, and hey, like I said in the chat there, hope you beat your friend. Hope you win this week since we gave you the plays. Rod, before we get out of here, follow us over on the YouTube. Again, click that subscribe, helps us out a ton. Click the bell so you know when we're going live. We appreciate it. And follow me as well over on the X at @Husker_Zeeb. I got a ton of stuff out right now. NFL mock draft. I got Final Four DFS plays for the men. I've got Final Four picks for the women. Final Four underdog for the women's coming tomorrow. Got a NASCAR article coming out this week. All kinds of stuff staying busy on sportsgamblingpodcast.com. So check all that out. And back tomorrow for the Truck Series. Friday we'll wrap it up with DFS. Shit, we're already happy hump day. It's we're already almost done with the week, Rod.
We certainly are. Of course, there is. Don't worry, we're not done with the week. We're almost done with the week, so plenty of stuff to keep up on. Follow me on X at RJ Villagomez. Link in the bio. Everything I got going on, whether it's here, whether it's Sportsbook Review. I've got WrestleMania stuff coming out as well. I got some picks coming out tomorrow. I've already got the odds updated, so there's that. Great stuff there. And then, of course, tomorrow, the Back Road with Seth and Elliot. Well, there's Seth. Hey, bud, thanks. Catch us tomorrow on the In Between Media YouTube as well. We're going to be breaking down at Martinsville for you. And if you guys want, I'm going to be talking wrestling coming up here in a couple of minutes with the guys from For Frequency's Sake. Man, so a hockey show for the network.
Hey, check out the Hockey Gambling Podcast because it is available.
It's there. I heard some crazy Canucks are doing that as well. So, all right. We'll see you guys tomorrow. Plenty of stuff to break down for the Truck Series as well. So until then, everyone, let's go and let it ride.